Life can turn upside down in a heartbeat. One minute everything's normal, the next, your whole world explodes. That's what happened to one family. Their happy life was ripped apart when something terrible happened to their loved one. This story is about a dark secret, a hidden evil that took an innocent life and left a family heartbroken.
This one's in the city rather than the country. The victim was a girl rather than a boy, Katerina, Koneva. But this time there's a wealth of detail. There are witnesses, there are strong descriptions, and there's a great deal of forensic evidence. Murder made front-page headlines. It happened back in May, on Thursday, May the 22nd, in Hammersmith, West London. 12-year-old Katerina and her family had moved to Britain from Macedonia about a year ago.
I miss her with everything. She was that energy what gave me to be alive. I'm waiting for her to come back.
This killing was sexually motivated, and whilst Katerina wasn't sexually assaulted, the strangulation was particularly vicious. She was strangled twice, both manually and with a ligature. That the motivation was strangulation, and he gained some sexual satisfaction from that act alone.
Hey True Crime fam. Buckle up, because Crimeco is back with another chilling case that'll send shivers down your spine. We all love a good mystery, one that keeps us guessing and peeking over our shoulders. Here at Crimeco, we're all about unraveling those tangled threads, bringing you the stories that haunt our collective memory. So, if you're ready for a deep dive into the dark side, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. It fuels our hunt for the truth. Now, grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and prepare to crack open a case that'll leave you saying, "Wait, what?" All right, detectives, let's get cracking. The nightmare unfolded in a quiet neighborhood in Hammersmith, West London. Brick houses lined the streets, shops bustled with customers, and kids played in the park. It looked like any other friendly working-class area. But under the surface lurked a darkness nobody suspected. A predator was on the prowl, preying on young girls unseen. This monster was about to target a local family, shattering their lives forever. Hammersmith sits on the River Thames, attracting working folks and immigrant families looking for a good place to live near central London. It was a mix of cultures and dreams, sadly perfect pickings for a sick criminal. This evil person, hiding in plain sight, seeped into this peaceful community. What he did next tore apart the neighborhood's sense of safety and left a scar on Hammersmith forever. In this quiet Hammersmith neighborhood lived a young girl named Katerina Koneva. At 12, she was full of life, full of potential, like a book waiting to be written. Her family had immigrated from Macedonia to England for a better life, and things seemed good. They had each other, their traditions, and a future full of hope. But that hope was ripped away in an instant by an unimaginable evil. What happened to Katerina was so monstrous, so cruel, it felt like something out of a horror movie. This story isn't just about a crime, it's about Katerina. We'll get to know her, her dreams, her talents, a life stolen far too soon. Her death showed the darkest side of humanity, but also the incredible strength of her family who wouldn't rest until they got justice. Katerina Koneva was born on August 3, 1984, in Skopje, Macedonia. Her parents, Traj and Slobodanka, along with her older brother Martin, lived happy lives there. But in 1992, when Katerina was just 8, Yugoslavia broke apart and things got rough. The Koneva family decided to chase a better life in London, England. Traj, Katerina's dad, found work as a builder, while Slobodanka stayed home to take care of Katerina and Martin. Starting over wasn't easy. New country, new language. But the Konevs were tough, and they embraced their new home in Hammersmith. Katerina was a ray of sunshine. Bright, funny, loved to sing and dance, and always had a smile on her face. She made friends easily at Lena Gardens Primary School, kids from all over the world. Katerina fit right in. The Konevs were happy. They were building a new life, a safe one, where their kids could thrive. But that dream died a horrible death when evil showed up at their doorstep. What happened next was unthinkable. a monstrous act of cruelty aimed at an innocent child by someone the Konevs never would have suspected. This story isn't just about a crime, it's about Katerina, a life cut short by pure evil. We'll learn about her, her family, and the strength it takes to face unimaginable darkness. On a Thursday afternoon, May 22nd, 1997, around 4 p.m., everything changed for the Konev family. 12-year-old Katerina just got home from school like any other day. She walked into their house on Bracken Street, not knowing the danger waiting inside. Then, a monster they didn't know showed up at their doorstep. He'd been waiting, hiding his evil plan. He tricked his way into the house, maybe chatting with Katerina or pretending to be someone else. But his real reason for being there quickly turned violent. He overpowered Katerina and dragged her away, somewhere her screams wouldn't be heard. There, he did something horrific. He choked her with a cord, silencing her cries for help. Just by chance, Traj realized something was terribly wrong. The front door was blocked by something, and through a crack, he saw a nightmarish scene, his daughter struggling for her life against this evil man. In a frenzy, Traj pounded on the door, his shouts echoing through the house. He didn't care if the guy heard him. All he wanted was to get to his daughter. Neighbors heard the commotion and rushed over, stunned to see a man climb out the window and take off running. Traj, fueled by adrenaline, chased after him, but the monster pulled a knife and threatened him before stealing a car and vanishing. By the time the police arrived, it was clear Katerina was gone. Her body lay lifeless, a victim of pure evil. A young girl, full of life and potential, stolen away in the most brutal way possible. The murder of Katerina Koneva shattered the peace of Hammersmith. People couldn't believe something so awful could happen right in their neighborhood. A monster had been walking their streets, and fear gripped the community. The police scrambled to find the culprit before he could hurt anyone else. Forensics swarmed the Konev house, searching for clues, anything, a hair, a fingerprint, anything that could lead them to the killer. Katerina's tiny body told the horrifying story of her final moments. The police released details about the attack and what the suspect looked like when he ran away. They offered a huge reward, £20,000, for any information that would lead to his arrest. Everyone with a child felt a pit in their stomach. London was in shock and angry. The investigators retraced the killer's steps, trying to figure out where he might have been before and after the crime. How did he pick Katerina? Did he know the neighborhood? They talked to hundreds of taxi drivers and neighbors, but no real leads emerged. The police did find some evidence at the house, hair and fingerprints. This could be used to identify the killer later with a DNA match. But back then, in the late 1990s, figuring out DNA wasn't as easy as it is today. So, for now, the killer remained a mystery. As time passed with no arrests, the fear and anger in Hammersmith only grew. The Konev family was broken. Their dreams were shattered, and they couldn't even begin to heal without knowing who did this to their little girl. All they wanted was for this animal to be caught so Katerina could finally get justice. For years, the horrific murder of young Katerina Koneva remained frustratingly unsolved, with her family and the community desperate for answers and justice. Little did anyone realize that the monster responsible had been hiding in plain sight the entire time, a veritable wolf among London's populace. The perpetrator went by the name Andrzej Konowski, a 41-year-old Polish immigrant who had managed to secure a legal residence by obtaining a fake passport. On the surface, he seemed an unlikely suspect, holding a job as an unassuming dry cleaner in the Acton district. But lurking underneath was a lifetime of violent, depraved behavior that followed Konowski wherever he relocated. You see, well before arriving in England, Konowski had already amassed a lengthy criminal record in his native Poland dating back to his teens. He was regarded as one of the country's most prolific sex offenders, with convictions for attempted murder, dozens of rapes against young women and girls, robbery, and even escape from custody. The nickname, the Beast of Mlawa, was aptly earned. Disturbingly, Katerina's tragic murder exhibited all the hallmarks of Konowski's overarching modus operandi, a fixation on youthful victims, physical abuse taken to its sickest extremes, and an utter lack of remorse. Still, without a proper background check due to his falsified identity, the British authorities simply had no way to connect the horrific Hammersmith crime to this dangerous, unregistered immigrant prowling their streets. It wasn't until 2002 that the veil began to lift on Konowski's reality. That year, he violently raped a 21-year-old Korean student whom he had lured back to his apartment. Miraculously, the young woman escaped and reported her harrowing ordeal to the police, identifying her attacker as a Polish man named Andrew. Upon Konowski's arrest, his DNA sample was uploaded to the criminal database, which returned a jaw-dropping match to evidence found at the Koneva crime scene 5 years earlier. The twisted path had finally reconnected to that agonizing May afternoon when a young girl's bright future was snuffed out. In 2004, the net finally closed in on Andrei Konowski. He stood trial in the famous Old Bailey courthouse in London, accused of the awful killing of 12-year-old Katerina Koneva back in 1997. The evidence against him was slam dunk: his DNA, fingerprints, and the way he always acted at crime scenes, his calling card, all pointed right at him. As the trial went on, a horrifying truth came out. It turned out Konowski had a long history of hurting women and children all the way back in Poland. He was like a monster who'd been on the run for years, escaping punishment and continuing his reign of terror. He even used fake documents to sneak into England unnoticed. The courtroom was filled with disgust as the details of Katerina's murder were revealed. This poor, innocent girl's life was just snuffed out in her own home in Hammersmith. Her family members bravely faced Konowski, their voices shaking with pain and anger. They couldn't understand how someone could do something so terrible to their child. The trial lasted a long time, but in the end, it took the jury only 6 hours to reach a verdict. They found Konowski guilty of both Katerina's murder and the earlier rape of a Korean student, which is actually how they finally caught him. The judge gave him the harshest punishment possible: life in prison with no chance of ever getting out. With Konowski locked away, police wasted no time digging into other unsolved cases. They figured a predator like him might be connected to more disappearances. 2 young women who vanished in the late 90s looked especially suspicious, but they couldn't quite pin him to those crimes yet. In the end, Konowski was sent to a supermax prison called HMP Franklin. This was a place for the worst of the worst, and it's where he'd spend the rest of his life. No more chances to hurt anyone. Of course, putting Konowski away didn't bring Katerina back, and it wouldn't erase the pain her family felt. But at least one evil force was gone for good. There would be no more victims, no more fear. The Andrei Konowski case is a tough one to swallow. It shows us a dark side of humanity, the kind of evil that hides in plain sight until it explodes in a horrible way. For years, Konowski left a trail of shattered lives across Poland and England. He started out seeming like a regular guy, but inside his head was a twisted obsession with hurting women and children. It all went from bad to worse, from attacking strangers to the unthinkable murder of a little girl, Katerina Koneva, who was just walking home from school. Here's the scary part: Konowski thought he was untouchable. He used fake IDs to cross borders, figuring nobody would notice his dark past. And for a while in London, he was right. He walked free, potentially hurting even more people before they caught him. What finally brought him down? His own arrogance. He attacked another young woman so violently that she survived, and thanks to advances in DNA testing, they were able to link him to all his past crimes. Justice was slow, but sure. He got locked away for life, but that doesn't bring Katerina back. Her family will forever be haunted by what happened. The things they had, the life they planned, none of it matters anymore. This case is a reminder that we can never let our guard down. There are monsters out there, and we have to stay alert to protect ourselves and each other. Alright guys, before you dash off into the night, don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you on the flip side for another mind-blowing case. Until then, stay curious.